For practices 16.1 introduction, we will learn how to create a new user account, establish the initial password for the account, and make other modifications such as making the new user a member of a secondary group. We will create a new group with the groupadd command. We will make changes to the group with the groupmod command, create a new user with the useradd command, set and reset the user's password with the password command, and make changes to the user's account with the usermod command. All of these commands are pretty similar, but they do different things, so it's kind of easy to remember them. They're also kind of named how they're going to be used. In 16.2, creating groups, we are told that creating groups can be helpful in order to assign permissions or files shared by a group of users. Typically, user IDs, which is what UID stands for, starts at 1000. That means the second would be 1001, and so on and so forth. We're also given a little bit more information about UIDs, which are user IDs, GIDs, which are group IDs, and the benefits of them. In 16.2.1, in order to administer the user and group accounts, so basically in order to edit them or make new ones, we need to be in the root account because only the root user is able to do this. So since we want to run multiple commands, we're going to go into the su. If we wanted to just run one command, as we learned from last lab, we would be in the sudo. So we're going to type in su and press enter. It's going to ask us for the password, and the password for the root user in this terminal is net lab123. If we press enter, it'll move us to the root at localhost. In this example, I did a dash, but if we don't have any argument in here, it'll automatically put us in the root. In 16.2.2, we need to use the groupadd command to create new groups called research and sales. So we're going to do this here on separate lines. Before we use this example, we have to note the -r option. And what this -r option is that it adds these groups into our reserved range. The reserved range is from 1 to 1000. This is usually reserved for system maintenance. That is usually stored in there. However, if we wanted to overwrite this, we would use the -r option as shown here. So if we do a -r, it's going to add it into the range between 1 and 1000. For this example, we have group add -r, and then we want to add a research. We can press enter, go into the new line, and do group add -r sales. If we want to change the name of these groups, we would not do the groupadd command since we're not adding, but the groupmod command since we're modifying. We would do a -n to change the names of either groups, or the -g to change the group ID. So -n is for name and -g is for group ID. The group delete command is used to delete either of the groups as long as none of them have been made into the primary group of a user. We cannot delete primary groups. We can only make them subgroups, and after they are then sub, not the primary, we can delete those. If we want to get information about a group, we would use the getent command, basically saying get entity, and we can get our group. We can type in getent group and then our group name, which is research. Pressing enter here, we see that we have got it in 999. If we do getent group, but instead we have sales in here, and press enter, we have it in 998. In 16.2.4, we use the grep command to call back from a previous lab to search information within the group. So we have this sales group that we just did right here, and if we want to search for the word sales inside of here, we would use the grep command. We would also need to know the directory that it's in, and it's in the /etc/group directory. So we would do grep, the word that we want to search for, which in this case is sales, and then our directory, which is /etc/group. If we press enter, we're going to see that our sales x 998 with sales being highlighted because that is what we were searching for. In 16.2.5, we use the groupmod command with the -n option to change the name of our sales group. So we're going to start this with a groupmod, our option, which is -n, and then what we want to change it to. So we want to change the name to clerks from sales. So we put the name we want to change to first, and then the old name that we're changing it from, the group that we're changing. If we press enter here, no errors, and this was renamed properly. If we want to change the group ID, we would do groupmod, and then instead of a -n, we would do a -g, and then a new number, a new group ID, which we would call 1003, or technically 10,003 for this example, and then we would do the name of the group that we want to change, which is clerks. If we press enter here, this changes it. If we change the name of our group, this doesn't change any of the files associated with it. However, if we change the group ID, those files no longer belong to that group since they are linked with that ID. To verify the changes that we've made above, we'll use the grep command to search for our clerks in our /etc/group directory. So we'll use grep to search the name of our group, which is clerks, in our directory, which is /etc/group. If we press enter, we can see that we have it in here with the correct ID. Earlier, I mentioned that if we change the group ID, the files under it will no longer be linked to it. We note this down here again, calling them orphaned files. In 16.2.6, we are told how to delete our group name by using the groupdel command or group delete command, and we're going to delete the group that we made called clerks. All we're going to type in is groupdel clerks. Type this in wrong. There should not be a space in front of them. So if we retype this without a space in the middle, we are going to get no error here, which means it worked. To check if it worked, we can use the grep command to try to search for it. So we'll do grep, what we're trying to search, which is our clerks group name in our /etc/group directory. And if we press enter, unlike last time up here, we get no output down here, meaning that our group is deleted. If we delete a group straight out like this, any files that are owned by that group will become orphaned, just like if we changed the group ID. In 16.3 user configuration, we are told that user configuration begins with properly configuring the groups that users will be placed in. To view the default values of a group, we will use the useradd-d option. If we type this into our console, we are going to get the same output as they did there, where we have group is equal to 100, home is equal to /home, inactive is -1, which means no. We have no expiration date. We have our shell, skel, and our create mail spool. This skel value is basically copying from other files into this directory. It says more information about that right here, where it determines which skeleton directly it'll copy from and paste into the home directory. The -k option on the useradd command allows a different skel directory than the default to be used when creating a new user account. This is useful because some systems have users that need different resources to appropriate job functions. Again, the skel is basically a template, and it's copying this template onto the user account. And this template could be different depending on different users. The inactive parameter that we have right here allows users with expired passwords to log in for a standard of 30 days before their accounts are disabled and need to be re-enabled by the root. So we would do useradd-d to view all of this. And if we wanted to change this, we would need to do a -f option with our username, as well as the number of days that users with expired passwords can still log in for before their accounts are inactive. To do this, we are going to have user-add-d, this is standard, and then we're going to have -f, and then the amount of days that we will allow our user to be inactive, or allow the user who has expired passwords to still log in. So if we want 30, we press enter, no errors, and if we check this by using user-add-d, we can see that our new inactive is equal to 30 and not -1. The -1 indicates that there is no inactive parameter. To modify the create mail spool value in the /etc/default/useradd file, we need to use the nano text editor. To pull this up, we're just going to type in nano/etc/default/useradd, or nano and then a directory. This would be the syntax. And nano is just a text editor. So if we press enter here, we're going to be logged into nano. We want to go to the bottom of the file. Our mouse does not work in nano, so we have to use arrow keys. So we're going to go scroll all the way down until we hit here. We're going to go up a few lines till we hit create mail spool. Right now it says no, but if we want a mail, we will type in yes. So we'll get rid of this no by pressing backspace twice and then typing in yes for yes. To exit this, we're going to hit Control X. There's also a little menu down here. Press Y, and then enter. Now we're going to be back in here. To check if we change this, we're going to use useradd-d, and this useradd-d will show us all of this information again, and we can see that the create mail spool is now set to yes when it was previously no. In 16.3.6, we need to create a new user named student who is a secondary member of the research group and a primary member of their own private group. We need to use a comment of Linux student that'll appear as their full name when they do a graphical login. We need to make sure that their home directory will also be created by specifying the -m option. Then use the grep to verify that we have made the user and they are in their specific group memberships. So to add a user or to make a user, we need to create a new user. We need to do the useradd. Just to clarify, we need to be in the root directory. So we'll have useradd-g, which stands for group. So we're going to put the group name after this. We'll have research. And then we want to leave a comment. So we're going to do -c, followed by 2 single quotes, and then our comment inside of those quotes. We will have Linux student. And then after this, we need a -m to specify the home directory, which will be student. If we press enter, we get no errors, so that means we should have done it correctly. To check this, we will use the grep command. First, we are going to check for them in our /etc/password directory. To do this, we will do grep student /etc/password. Press enter, and we can see that we have our student inside of here. Now we are going to check their group. So we will do grep student and then change the directory from being etc/password to etc/group. If we press enter here, we see that we have a research group and a student. In 16.3.7, we will use the usermod command to add the system administrative user to the research group. To do this, we will do usermod because we're making a modification to the user -ag, which I think stands for add to group, and then we will have our group name, which is research, and then our user, which is sysadmin. If we press enter here, we get no errors, so that probably means we did it correctly. Users who are logged into the system will not be able to see their new group memberships until they log out and then log back in. In 16.3.8, we're going to use the getent command to view the research group members, and we should see our system admin as well as our student inside of here. So we're going to use getent for get entity, and then our group, and then group, and then our group name, which will be research. So we see that we have the research group, and then we have our student user and our sysadmin user. If we want to look inside of the student group, we will use get and group, and then the group name, which is student, and we can see that we only have student inside of here. Now we're going to show the password and shadow databases for the student user. We'll use get entity password inside of our student. Press enter, we can see that we get this here. We can also do a get entity shadow, which is our directory, and then student. Press enter, and we get this here. This exclamation mark right here appears because the password for the student has not been set. In 16.3.9, we learn how to set the password by using the passwd command for the student user. We are going to type in the user that we want to make our password for. After we type in password, so we'll have password and then our user. That is the syntax. Currently our user is student for this example. If we press enter, it says enter new Unix password. We want our password to be net lab123. Press enter, it asks us to retype it. So we'll do net lab123 and press enter again, and it says that the password has been updated successfully. No characters will appear when typing the password, and this is for security reasons. We can check our password though by doing get ent shadow student, and if we press enter here, we will get this information. To see when the last time a user logged into a system, we need to use the last command. In this example, we're going to be last and then student. We'll type in last without arguments, and then we can see our system administrator, and which is me, and I am still logged in. If we want to check our student, we will do last student. Press enter, we get the same information down here, right here, and this is when they began. There is also a last b command which works similar to the last command, except that it shows bad or failed login attempts. If we no longer want the student user to have access to our system, we need to use the usermod -l and then their username, which is student command, which can be used to lock the account. That is the -l option. The account could be unlocked with the usermod -u student command, which I think is for undo, and it gives us information about that right here. In 16.3.11, a more permanent solution to preventing access to the student account would to be delete his account entirely by either using the userdel student or userdel-r student commands. Using the -r option with the user delete command will remove the user's home directory as well as mail. To delete the student's account and remove the user's home directory, we will use userdel-r and then the username, which is student. If we press enter, we have to make sure we spell it correctly. And if spelled correctly, we will say userdel student mail spool not found. For some reason, I got this down here that it's not found, but I think it worked correctly. This might be just a new feature telling us that we cannot find it anymore after we deleted them. And if we did grep here, we type in student in our /etc/group, we can see that they are no longer inside of this group. That is it for Lab 16 on creating users and groups.